But that took us a minute to get everything set up and running, but we are good to go. And I'm going to go ahead and pass this off for introductions.
Hey guys, I'm Sora Choi, and I'm an account manager at the Creative Group. We are a creative and marketing staffing agency, and as an account manager, I am client-facing and bringing the candidates my recruiters bring to me to market.
Hi, my name
That
is...
took us a minute to get everything set up and running, but we are good to go. And I'm going to go ahead and pass this off for introductions. Somebody...
Hey guys, I'm Sora...
YouTube video running in the background, I think.
I'm not sure who.
All right, well, it seemed to have stopped.
Well, it's a good thing I'm a creative and not a technical person. I have an excuse. So, so now I'll introduce myself. My name is Amber Fraser Finkelstein. I am the CEO of Retro M. We are a design, content, and social distribution firm, and that's just fancy talk for we do content, we do copywriting, and we design it in such a way that it is compatible with any social media.
Hey guys, my name is Chris Weatherly. I'm the digital sales manager at WRAL.com. We do all things digital advertising, and I've got 2 creative designers on my team, and we build all the ads for our advertisers if they're unable to. Also work on landing pages and helping advise them on their websites.
Outstanding. Well, hello everyone. I'm Judy White. I'm the founder and the CEO of the Infusion Group. We're a workplace culture design firm that specializes in the future of work. So we work with a lot of organizations across industries who are undergoing massive transformation and certainly embracing the digital revolution. We're excited to be here today. Thank you.
All right, Jake, let's jump right into Sora's presentation on some data that the Creative Group has gathered from creative professionals as of the last quarter of 2014.
Great. So I wanted to start off, you guys, just by saying a little bit more about the Creative Group. You know, like I said earlier, we're the only staffing firm in the area that specializes in marketing and creative talent. You know, we provide temporary contract to hire solutions. We work with small to mid-sized agencies like Method Savvy all the way up to large corporations like Red Hat. You know, the Creative Group is run by people who come from the creative space. I actually used to work with Lisa and Chris over at WRL.com and digital advertising. You know, as an account manager, I'm business development, whereas my counterparts, the recruiters, you know, scout the talent, and you know, I help connect those candidates to companies. If you want to move to the next slide, these are 5 trends that are impacting creative hiring. So one of the trends is that talent is harder to come by. I'm sure some of the other guests, you know, on this hangout could attest to that. You know, in some areas of the creative field, demand is greater than supply. You know, the right candidates, those with proven experience, you know, the right portfolio, the perfect combination of technical and soft skills, you know, they're getting multiple offers. So, you know, they're feeling really good about, you know, their career outlook. And, you know, employers are starting to realize that they need to move quickly or else they're going to lose good talent to their competitors. And, you know, furthermore, companies are prioritizing retention. You know, another trend that is impacting hiring is digital. Digital is still growing. You know, everyone on this hangout knows that. A lot of companies are looking for folks, you know, with interactive experience who can, you know, redesign their online mobile presence or, you know, re-strategize their digital game plans. Another trend is increased marketing budgets. You know, they're getting bigger due to economic optimism. Job seekers and freelancers are finding more options, you know, as companies dedicate more money for creative and marketing projects. And, you know, in particular, employers are seeking mid-level professionals who can hit the ground running. Another trend that is impacting the hiring landscape would be perks. So recruiting and retention efforts are on the rise. It's not just about salary increases or, you know, the fact that we're seeing more bonuses come back, but perks that promote work-life balance are becoming more common, whether that's flexible scheduling, casual dress code, extra vacation, etc. And the final trend I want to hit on is freelance demand. So a lot of in-house marketing departments and agencies are, utilizing freelancers and temps to help manage overflow work, and also just bring in the expertise that they don't have internally that they might just need, for a project, but not necessarily on a full-time basis. And a lot of times what we do see is that employers who utilize, these freelancers or contractors for an amount of time, if they've got the budget, they're often extending full-time offers to these consultants, who have proved to be an asset. If you want to move to the next slide, we surveyed marketing and advertising execs at the end of last year. We found that 33% of those surveyed plan to add new positions in the first half of this year, and 56% plan to retain or backfill open positions. If you want to move to the next slide, it's just kind of showing when we asked, these execs how challenging is it for your company to find skilled creative professionals today, 41% said, that they were finding it challenging. If you move to the next slide, just so you have kind of an idea of the areas that executives said that they wanted to hire for, as you can kind of see on this slide, it is mostly web design and production, social media, content marketing, and brand product management. So these were the top areas that execs said they wanted to hire for in the first half of 2015. Next slide. So this is just kind of about the overall marketplace. The salary gains projected for this year in the creative and marketing field is 3.5%. What's driving this demand is digital growth, particularly mobile, with customers having so much access to technology, and the fact that they're relying on digital to make decisions. Businesses are focusing their marketing strategies on the customer experience, which is why they're hiring people like digital marketing strategists or UX designers, web designers, front-end developers. And something else about this marketplace is that, it's not an employer's market anymore. The candidates, the people with the talent, are the driving force right now. There's rapidly evolving technologies. It's causing a skills gap. There's something always new on the horizon. Schools can't teach, future marketing and creative professionals, what's going to be next and what's going to be after that. And the readily available labor market doesn't always supply those skills needed for the evolving technologies and trends either. Skill shortages have been known to cause delays in hiring and even revenue loss. I want to cite a career builder survey that showed, almost half of employers said job-specific skills are scarce, and 60% were concerned about the costs associated with delayed hiring, and 1 in 4 experienced revenue loss due to open positions that have yet to be filled. So, oftentimes I'll get, calls from clients that I've been saying, oh, hey, I noticed you have an open position. And, they'll kind of go on and look internally, and then, at the end of the day, when they're getting strapped and, they're really starting to lose time and money, they'll give me a call. In terms of locally, so we have, the Creative Group has offices across the United States. But here local in Raleigh, so you get a little bit of insight into our local market, probably 2/3 of TCG's business is freelance or short-term, and about 1/3 of it is long-term contract to hire. Traditionally we do have direct placement divisions of the Creative Group, but right now we have the bandwidth to support contract to hire and freelance. We've got some awesome agencies here in the area. However, we are mostly a corporate market. There's a lot of in-house marketing departments, and just so you have an idea of what clients are looking for from us, when they ask us for talent, they want to see solid portfolios and solid examples of your work. I mean, I can't convince a client, hey, this is a designer for you when they don't have a good portfolio. And, on the flip side, if they're looking for a PR specialist, well, I need to have writing samples. Clients want to see ROI. How are our candidates going to save them time and money? Like I was saying earlier, experience and technical skills matter, You know, a lot of people are seeking those mid-level folks with 3 to 5 years experience. And then also, that's what's really important in creative and marketing is that cultural fit, the soft skills. You know, are you going to be client facing? You know, how many people internally are you going to be interacting with and depending on a daily basis? You know, the cultural fit and comm skills are really, really important. And then also, everybody wants a hybrid. So, you know, our budgets are often stretched, and you know, so people want candidates that have versatility. So, you know, when it comes to graphic design, you know, it's not really, oh, can they just, you know, do print pieces? I mean, it's, hey, can they do web, and can they also do print, and do they also have, you know, HTML CSS skills? Can they break fix and help out with HTML newsletters, things like that? And then if you want to go to the next slide, I just wanted to share some, you know, Q4 unemployment rates from 2014. These are just for select creative and marketing positions, but you know, if you go down the list here, you can see the unemployment rate for PR managers was 2.1%, marketing managers 2.5%, web developers 3.3%, editors 3.8%, designers 3.9%, marketing specialists 4.1%, and PR specialists 5%. So, you know, as you can see, these unemployment rates are really low, which, you know, when you look, when you do a job search really quick, I mean, you can see how many people are looking for marketing and creative talent. So, you know, it's a good market out there for employees, and, you know, it's tough out there for employers. So that's all I have, Judy, if you want to take over.
Certainly. Thank you for that. So those are startling insights. And, you know, in a digital-first world with nearly 5 billion global users expected to be on the internet by 2020, demand is only going to rise. And as you shared, Sora, key talent's already in short supply. It's going to get even more competitive for companies moving forward. So what can modern employers do to stay ahead of their talent planning, acquisition, and prioritize that retention of these brilliant minds and digital natives? What are creative individuals looking for in a modern workplace? Well, given our work at the Infusion Group and research, if you can go back a slide, please, we have found that there are a number of opportunities that organizations can zero in on and help their companies gain a hyper edge in attracting and retaining amazing talent. We're going to look at 5 of those areas today. Next slide, please. Okay. Today's back one. Today's shifts are more like movies in slow motion as America begins to see more non-white and graying citizens. It presents a unique time of diversity both for our nation that invites all of us, especially creatives, to reimagine, rediscover, and design for the challenges and opportunities that lie ahead. Next slide, please. As the world of work has shifted to the connected economy, it turns out that what drives modern creatives has shifted too. If you can advance a slide. Leading companies making the shift are beginning to reimagine what it means to live, work, and play in a modern workplace. These companies are creating by design key elements to attract, develop, and deploy creative talent to help them drive high-impact contribution from day one. We find that companies who have not made the shift tend to ask a familiar question. Next slide. What sparks creative talent? And they often receive a similar response: rewards, recognition, money, and stability. However, recent research reveals insight contrary to some of those common practices, in that external motivation like promotions, titles, year-end bonuses, or taking a dangle the carrot management approach doesn't motivate. In fact, it fails to inspire better performance over the longer term. While it may attract a few great candidates, traditional practices may actually limit your organization's true creative potential, the results, as well as long-term revenue. As we know, creatives are often multi-creative, and when you bring on a creative, you're hiring a designer, whether it's contingent, freelancer, or a full-time resource. They're truly more than money-generating machines who just generate successful messaging and products time after time. For employers, they create, they design, and their backgrounds often reflect unique experiences and stories. What's important is that creatives actually think about their work, and their expectations about their careers has shifted. A key opportunity for innovative companies, next slide, is to really supercharge your employer value proposition. Does it match their inner why? Free food, on-site Starbucks, cool office parties, and beer on Fridays are all fun perks, and it provides a glimpse into one's culture. But does it really match that inner why? For the very best of the best talent that you're looking to attract, can potential candidates discover how they might contribute to your company and client growth from day one? How do you ensure that your resource partners, like the creative group, have job roles and project specs that really spark their candidates' curiosity about the experiences and the connections that will help engage their thinking regarding the challenges and opportunities that they're being asked to solve? What can they expect in return for their creativity? Next slide, please. Create Digital, a firm out of Virginia, brings it home pretty quickly for those passionate about all things digital and how they live their purpose. For them, they're looking for people who not only love to create, but want to impact the industry by making it more human. When we advance over to their career site, next slide, please, we find that they're not looking for generic creators. In fact, they're looking for some very passionate minds, those that seek limitless thinkers, self-starters. There you get to be. You define it and you determine how you can contribute based on the roles. They're connectors, and they make that clear up front. They value relationships, placing a high priority on experienced collaborators and honoring the need to connect to life outside of work with very generous paid time off practices. In this next slide, you may recognize this group as Basecamp, or also known as 37 Signals. They lead with simplicity and design killer productivity tools that move ideas forward. For career seekers, their value proposition is right up front. You don't need to pick between where you live or where you want to work. This company spread out across 26 different cities with a physical base in Chicago allows that freedom. It's central to everything that you do and what they do in terms of picking between where you live and when you want to work. Their creative teams are just as diverse as the 15 million people using Basecamp at work. And not only do workers interact directly with customers, but they live to bring simplicity in a world of chaos, making work life easier for any age. Next slide, please. In our last example, Keep's unique value proposition is their people. Keep is redefining mobile advertising, presenting a unique value proposition for that creator who has a thirst for learning and discovery. Their openness invites potential candidates and customers to get to know, connect, and develop trust long before actually applying, but developing that trust with other creators and explorers. At Keep, they make it clear that they support memorable work, living, learning, and playing. Next slide, please. It goes almost without saying that compensation needs to be fair first and competitive, but to truly bring creative talent to life, rewards need to go beyond, way beyond. And it doesn't take the big budgets to make it happen, but it does take listening, commitment, and a focus to keep relearning what really matters to your people. Like consumer preferences are constantly evolving, creators go through life stages too. And what may bring a candidate into your company today may not keep them there in the long term. Creatives continuously seek those new experiences, and so their desires and needs change. So rewards should be flexible and adaptable. As an employer, think about your current offerings and if they're meeting the needs of your unique contributors, your business strategy, as well as your culture. Will they stand up to the preferences of modern candidates and see your workplace as a destination in a crowded marketplace? But remember that real reward is in artistic creation, solving the problem and actually coming up with unique ideas and solutions. And certainly while compensation matters, tapping into their inner motivation matters even more. And honor this by validating their artistic contribution. You can help others get published. Give them opportunity. Can you advance the slide, please? University of Illinois conducted some research recently. They found that the use of self-talk plays a significant factor in eliciting this intrinsic motivation. This self-talk through a questioning technique like, will I, actually causes a shift in one's thinking and a level of healthy uncertainty. This is key for employers as well as recruiters to recognize this, because the best talent will want to solve a difficult task, challenge, they want to learn, contribute, and continue to grow. When creative thinking is a core component of one's job role, that motivation actually heightens. It's transformational in how leaders design work, and it lends itself to strengthening both talent to more readily engage with your company and contribute. Next slide, please. We all have ideas, don't we? Many of them last forever. But what doesn't last forever is inspiration. And when your creative talent is filled with inspiration, it's up to the leader to create the environment that allows inspiration to go to work. Rather than common practices, what we find is leading companies take a fresh approach to reinventing work. Chris Kalani, the chief designer of Wake and a former Facebook alumni, shares it best. He says it's all about transparency, which means as designers, we stop solving problems by ourselves. We start embracing the power of critique. We all know that to do our own best work is when we let somebody else rip it apart and force us to think differently. Next slide. So key area where leaders and employers can make a measurable and financial difference in attracting and retaining is to rework what is positive work, what's meaningful work, and what is the work of modern leadership. Positive work, we know, is people-centered. It's inclusive. It's about having that honest dialogue around some of the various work offerings, and it's exploring interests, both with the candidate or current employee. It's looking at some growth opportunities, networking, and professional development. Together, it's having that conversation around shared objectives that align for mutual value. Don't just give creatives something to work on. Give them something to work toward and let them answer the will I or wow, can I solve this? Meaningful work allows your creative talent to have direct input into their work. And this can easily be achieved through transparent tools that enable your talent to be self-sufficient on their work, the tasks, and the projects that they're inspired by, as well as work more collaboratively with small and empowered teams to further connect. The work of to provide that transparency, clear communications that place creatives in the driver's seat. Creatives, as we know, can be highly competitive, and recognizing individual contribution is no longer sufficient in a connected world. Modern leaders can help drive that expectation and clear communication about more effective network performance. Rapid two-way feedback is expected in the new world of work, and anything less than that is really falling behind the market. So what can employers do? Next slide. Start today by igniting clarity and provide talent and team members the resources to move progress forward. Starting with those clear career conversations can go a long ways in identifying that mutual value or redefining new ways for talent mobility and new assignments. Think about initiating alone time zones. This can really help your creative talent to stay focused on the really important stuff. Not only does it help your company reduce costly interruptions, but it empowers your talent to really focus on the meaningful work and make significant progress. An organization we partnered with decided to adopt a special day during the week. Imagine certain time each week that was a dedicated alone time zone. No instant messaging, no social media, no interruptions, and no meetings. Imagine what could be designed and achieved. Imagine how much more progress your creative talent could make and then be able to contribute more to the team's success. Imagine the added value for your customers and the value it adds to your employment proposition. Next slide. But building a sense of connectedness, as we know, it's vital to trust in fostering that transparency. It's also an important element to how we play at work. How can you add more play to attract and retain talent? Next slide. Go ahead and empower everyone. Yes, everyone. Think about fun-friendly competition and we days. Next slide, please. Andy Heck is a leading CEO with Alpenhaus, and he really does lead from the front by providing off-site employee days for fun-friendly competition, skiing down the slopes of Gore Mountain. He also loves to take time where they can be together to just relax, learn a new skill together, and paint with their sponsored painting night with a team. You can think about studio sessions, bringing in-house master classes or virtual sessions where you can connect, learn, and grow together. Or you can get your creative on and throw out a challenge to your creative team to think about how they might engage both the community and especially our next generation of creators. Next slide. The reality is that digital is transforming life, and life is transforming digital. Together, it's transforming our complete experience as a customer as well as an employee. Can you think of any reason why our workplace experience shouldn't be transforming too? Next slide. The biggest key to attracting and retaining great talent is to help your creatives have a voice. Can they tell their story? Can they be heard? And better yet, can they help their team members be heard? When we empower a modern work style design, it creates an experience that really stands out. Innovators on today's call, we invite you, don't be afraid to kill the status quo. Your talent and workplace is unique. Create that specialness that allows each of you to live, work, and play in a way that delivers on the promise of customer innovation. And now I'm going to turn it back over to Jake and Lisa.
Awesome. Thank you so much for that, Judy. Now that we've heard a little bit from both Judy and Sora, I wanted to give a couple of folks who are right now and recently have been in the hiring process a quick chance to talk about what they've seen in the market, what their positions look like that they're trying to fill, and also what the current talent that's applying to these jobs has looked like. So Amber, I'll open it up with you. I know you've recently hired a social media position. So I'll let you kind of talk about there.
Okay. Yeah, recently we've had to hire a few different positions, and we work against other creative competitors. So it's interesting because when I'm looking for someone to either do anything around writing or editing, I get a lot of writers that say they can edit, and I have trouble believing that. I think creatives in general need to stick to one thing, and I think that's hard when previous jobs or even the job they have currently says, well, you can do this, so why don't you make this part of your everyday job? And I got a number of resumes for the editor and the social media position that they could do those things, but they weren't built to do those things, and I think that it's hard through a resume or even a phone interview to kind of pick up on the fact that this person really wants to do this. This is, what they've been doing, or they've wanted to transition into this, or they're doing it because they don't like what they're currently doing. And I think that it's hard to hire around those circumstances, especially creative people. And that's one of the things that I've run into. Just because people think they can do it, they say that they should do it, and I don't think that that's true at all. And that's been my biggest hurdle in hiring recently.
Noted that you have a position open. Talk a little bit about what you're looking for there, and specifically how you're trying to assess those candidates.
Yeah, so I'm looking for an editor, and I touched on the fact that I get a lot of writers who say they can be editors. So what I'm looking for for my editors are people who can demonstrate ability to reword for clarity while maintaining author's voice. Now that's really hard for any type of editor or writer to do, because oftentimes when people edit or they write, they're editing for what they want to see, not what the reader wants to hear. And I think that's true for anybody and most people in jobs where they have to refine creative work. They see it as what they would want, not the other. So I think it's really important, especially for any editor, for us, that they know how to change the grammar but not change the message, even if they think it should be changed. The integrity has to stay intact, and that's really hard for people to do, which is why it's really hard to find a good editor. Now I have on here proofreading abilities, which should, generally it would be easy, and you would say, oh, of course an editor would do that. But the problem with that also is that in writing grammatically correct content, you can lose a lot of the overall authenticity of it. And so, again, that's a really good editor knows how to maybe let some things slide. And, if you end a sentence with a preposition, or you start a sentence with because, sometimes it lends itself to the work itself and the creativity, and a mediocre to fair editor will change everything to make it grammatically correct. And a good editor will know when to leave it alone. And I think that's really hard for most people. And being able to edit multiple types of work, whether it's web content, blogs, we do copy for pamphlets, and that can be interesting, designing the content around visuals and novels. So, I mean, we go with every type of copy there is here, and so when we find an editor, it's important that they know how to adjust their virtual voice from platform to platform.
Awesome, thank you. Are you doing any outside of the box with that talent? Like websites and websites, or are you having to get innovative right?
Can you repeat that? It broke up a little.
Sure. I was just curious if you're doing anything unique to try and get the word. We all have listings on our website. job boards, or you can go outside of the box.
Yeah, I actually know a lot of professional writers. They do creative work. They don't work in the corporate world. I go a lot on personal referrals from them. I think it's important that I see actual work that they've done, good and bad. And when I interview someone, they just bring the good stuff. So I go a lot just personal. I use some, and I say use loosely. I use some digital type websites to where you can have certain people bid on editing and things like that, and I find that those are good for churn and burn type things, which it's sad, but that's if you need something done in 24 hours and someone will read it for X amount of dollars, those are easy. But it's harder to get creative as far as on the internet to find really creative people. So I find that I actually have to go out and find them myself. Like I have to do the footwork. I don't have the perfect formula for having someone find me organically of their own volition and being the perfect fit. So it's often, as far as outside the box going and trying to hire, I have to usually go and get the ones I want because they're not the ones looking for jobs.
Great, I appreciate it. I'm going to go ahead and Chris Weatherly from Government to speak a little bit about his experience for a digital executive right now.
Yeah, thanks. I'm in a little bit of a different. Is everybody hearing an echo, or is that just me? You good? A little bit different position. Kind of over here, I oversee the sales operations for WRL.com, and underneath that sits we have a full-time creative designer, and we have a part-time person we just brought on board. And kind of the thing that we're looking for, we do a lot of outsourcing. We work with a lot of consultants and contractors to really build out specific projects based on client needs. So whether that's landing pages, whether that's a website build, whether that is a rich media ad unit or a HTML5 ad, or we're looking to build an email newsletter template. A lot of times we'll do that in-house, but if we can't do it in-house, we'll reach out through some of the networks we've got, and we will outsource that to contractors. So that's a lot of the creative stuff I do. And then right now, kind of to Lisa's point, we are looking to fill a online or digital AE position, so somebody to go out and actually sell digital advertising on WRL.com. That's everything from pre-roll video, display ads, rich media, email list, contesting, event sponsorships, and anything and everything that kind of tangentially touches WRL.com. And some of the struggles that we're finding is, we post this position and we either get people that are way overqualified for what we're looking for. So we're looking for somebody in the 2 to 5 year experience range. So we'll get people with 25 years experience across the country. And oddly enough, they seem to think that this is the right fit for them, and it's usually not even worth our time to have that conversation. Or we get people straight out of college, or people that have had no sales experience at all, and they just see WRL.com, and they think it'd be a cool place to work, and so they're applying without much of a background or much experience. So for us, we're really struggling to find that sweet spot of somebody who's been out in the field, has some sales experience, understands the changing digital landscape. And then once you get to that point, the other kind of pitfall we're having is people coming to interviews unprepared. So for a sales role, for example, they'll come in and they won't even be familiar with the type of products that WRL.com offers. They won't be familiar with some of the other advertisers we're working with. They won't even know kind of what our core business is at WRL.com, or what main traffic generators are for us. So as you guys are out there and you're applying for jobs, and if you're fortunate enough to get an interview or you are qualified, make sure that you do your due diligence before you get to the actual interview itself. Understand and read up on the culture at the company you're interviewing for. At least know what they do, why they do it. Come in there with ideas and questions. How can you come into this position and increase the value that you're going to bring, not only to the job description, but kind of the other stuff that you bring to the table. What ideas do you have? What questions do you have about the position that may not be stated in the bulleted job description? And I can just tell you from somebody who's been interviewing quite a few people the last few weeks, when you come in and you don't know anything, or you come in and you're not prepared, you pretty easily, eliminate it off the list. And there are a lot of competitive candidates out there that are jockeying for these positions. So that'd be kind of the main piece of advice I have. Again, if you're fortunate enough to get an interview, do your homework, be prepared, don't take it for granted, and yeah.
Awesome. So I think that's kind of a good look at the kind of the current state of things right now. Do any of our panelists have questions for each other? Or I also want to put a call out there. If any of our viewers have questions, feel free to use the hashtag TEMAOnAir or comment on YouTube, and we'll try and address those quickly.
I'm good. I want to thank everybody very much for joining us today. It was definitely informative, and I think after we worked through all of our little minor kinks, it finally came together very well. It was some very informative information.
Well, Jake, thank you for being our producer of today's event. We couldn't have done it without your technical skills.
Yeah, thank you.
All right, guys, please visit triangleinteractive.org for any kind of follow-up information and for upcoming events, and we'll see you next time.
Bye.
Bye.